This is Davey White, punctuating your mind.
So this is work that you can be expected, you're expected to do over the next few weeks to prepare yourself for your creative sack. And we're expecting that you give all the options a go so that you can get relevant feedback so that you can do well in your creative sack. Travis, can you please put your phone away?
Sure can.
Granger, I'm assuming you may have one too. No. Okay. So, obviously, when it comes to the creative sack, you need to do some kind of stylistic imitation of what Adiga does, and you need to use the language features of the White Tiger. It has to be a response that offers new insight into the text in some way. Okay? So it has to be consistent with the text but reveal something new.
So it has to be, it's a bit like when you're reading it, you think yourself, oh, I wonder what Pinky Madam thought there, or she must hate her husband now, or those thoughts you have, that's where you can actually give your new insight, because you've possibly made some predictions, had some thoughts, or if I was married to him, I'd hate him, if I was married to her, I'd hate her, so you think about what were your thoughts as you read it, because that's where you can offer new insight. Because the only perspective we see in this whole text is Balram's, and we make assumptions about the other characters, so you need to invent what their motivations, their perspectives, their likes, their dislikes are, based on what Balram has said and their previous history.
Yeah. So you're turning them from 2D characters in this book into 3D characters with a bit more depth, their own personal opinions, things that you think would be relevant to their character based on what you already know. Okay? So you have to consider what speculations you've made about the text and what things you can infer from the text, what can be implied. What else do you want to know as the reader? So you've got to consider the questions you've had in your mind. How can we alter the perspective? So by writing through these different characters. And how can you shift events or delay them to alter that viewpoint? Okay? So obviously you have to do your statement of intention with this as well, which is something that you did last year with Montana. Correct? Yes, so we all know what it looks like. You're explaining why you've written certain things, why you've chosen this language, so on and so forth.
And that'll look a bit like an analysis of your own piece of writing. So when you're writing about a text, you say, they've given this message, they use this technique, they do this, you're saying that about your own. So you might say, I've noticed that Adiga uses metaphors here, 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 and here. I have decided to create my own metaphors, and they're here, here, and here. And my metaphors mean this, and it's similar to the use of metaphors there, which meant whatever it meant. Okay, so you're analysing your own, and you're explaining how yours matches the original text. The other thing you've got to keep in mind, it's not just how they write, but what they're writing about. So you can't suddenly have your text showing views and values about horses and if horses are cool. It has to be about still India, and what his text said about India, you should be mimicking those same concepts.
So you're just offering a different character's perspective on those views and values. What do they have to add to what Adiga's saying, and how are they helping to support what Adiga has to say about India through your own words? Okay? So you've got these options, which I'm assuming you have all read over. You have Pinky, we have Dharam, we have Ashok, and we have the mongoose and the stork. As I said before, it's expected that you are writing one of each of these to help you best prepare for the sack.
When's the sack, miss?
If you check your emails, Neil, I just sent you an email telling you when the sack is. It's the 15th of June. Ryan.
Who was Ashok's dad?
Ashok's dad.
Is the stork.
The stork.
And the mongoose is his brother.
Then he was a third. There was
The
another
buffalo?
one,
The buffalo?
Third what?
Third, like the
Animal.
mongoose, the stork.
Oh, no. The
No.
mongoose wasn't one of the animals. Originally, it was the stork, the buffalo, the raven, and I've forgotten. But the mongoose came later on because he was the brother of the stork. Or the son of the stork.
Son of the stork.
Yeah.
Yes. Stork's father, mongoose, is the stork's son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, if you're working on option 1, for example, Pinky Madam or Madame, depending on how you're going to pronounce that particular word, you probably need to think of, the first thing is you've got two text types there. The first text type is a newspaper report, and the second text type is a personal letter. So you need to think of the whole scenario about this and what it will look like. So the newspaper report will not be a personal thing. It won't be written by a character who's in the text. It's going to be written by a journalist, and it will be probably quite distant from the text. So if we're talking about Ashok Sharma being murdered, they maybe don't know him. It's not going to say, he was my best friend, I loved him. It's going to be quite distant, and it will just list facts. But I'm putting facts in inverted commas because we know in a corrupt world such as this, facts may not be real facts. It might say something like, Mr. Ashok Sharma was a wonderful businessman who helped all these people and did wonderful things and never committed a crime in his life.
His contributions to society were amazing.
Yeah, and it could say all of that, and we think, and it will definitely, what will it mention? It will probably mention that. Will it mention that he was travelling around with a bag of money to bribe officials with? No. It probably won't mention that that bag of money is missing, because that bag of money shouldn't have been there. So why are they going to put that in a newspaper report? Why would the Mongoose and Stork mention that bag was there? They're just trying to hunt that money down themselves. Okay? And then when you think about the letter, Pinky Madam, she was an American lady of Indian descent. Now, my knowledge of Indian culture is that some women may not tell very personal information to their mother, their aunties, their sisters, for fear they'll be dobbed on. So if I am an Indian lady and I have a secret boyfriend, I'm not telling my cousin this, because suddenly my cousin who has sworn to secrecy needs to get out of her own trouble, so now she dobs on me to my auntie, my mum, about my secret boyfriend or something like that, yes? Okay? But would I tell my best friend at university or college I have a secret boyfriend? Maybe, because they're not linked to my family. So we're thinking about personal letters. If she is going to say something like, and I'm inventing a whole scenario here, when I first met Ashok at the party where we were doing whatever, maybe my sister or my mum don't know that. Maybe my best friend does. Maybe my best friend is aware I've killed a child. Maybe not, because this friend is American and they think that's morally reprehensible. Maybe my mother would understand about India. If you kill a kid, maybe that's so. You have to pick who that audience is, but it's a personal essay, sorry, a personal letter. So it's actually giving intimate details about my life, and I know that this person knows me intimately, loves me well enough not to judge me. Yeah.
Who would the letter be to, though?
Well, you can invent
You have
it.
to
Be
figure
mother,
out who the
sister,
letter's to.
you just...
Could it be like facts in the newspaper or whatever?
No, because it says
No.
personal letter.
Yeah, letter to someone close to her, and so it's not, dear editor, I disagree with your article about my dead husband.
I was married to him and he's corrupt.
Yeah.
It might be something like, they've described him this way. I remember when he was this way, when he was a wonderful, loving man, but then we came to India. I was tricked that he thought we were going to leave, but somehow India, Delhi, his father, his brother got to him, and I saw him turn from this into that. I miss him. I wish he, whatever. But it has to be plausible. Okay, because remember, she loved him. It was a marriage of love, not a marriage of arrangement. But then he very clearly became something different to what she expected.
Okay, so the real key thing here is when you're doing this creative sack, is to think about the different pieces of writing that you are doing, because every option involves two different types of writing. Okay? So when you're moving on to any of the other options, you've got things like obituaries being done, you have retrospective monologues, conversations, letters, monologues. They're all different types of writing. So what you need to know is the structure of that type of writing to do it well. Because if you just write a page full of stuff and it's not following the right structure, you're not going to get the right marks on this creative sack. Okay, that's why we're offering you so many different options, and that's why we're offering you this time to practice. Ryan,
So, obituary.
what's an obituary? Who can tell me what an obituary is? Something to do with a death? What to do with a death?
Yes.
It's in the newspaper, yes? It's like a little death letter in the newspaper.
There isn't like the death announcement, so it's like
Death announcement. Not
It's
quite.
a little bit more expanded than that.
Yeah. So it is in the newspaper. It's something to do with
A
death.
little bit like a biography. Yep, we're on more track here, but it's persuasive in the fact that it's quite complimentary.
So has anyone ever seen them in the back of the newspaper? Yes. Have we ever read any of them? Yes. No. So they're very complimentary. They're talking about the life this person had, because people don't put obituaries in the newspaper if they don't care about the person. Okay, there's something you have to pay to put in a newspaper. So consider that when you're looking at the obituary, and consider the wealth of the family. It's not just going to be something short. They could take out a whole page if they wanted to.
And what would be the purpose of them putting an obituary in the paper? Is it really to celebrate Ashok Sharma's life, or is it to keep their persona, this perception going of this perfect family who's not doing anything wrong and there's no corruption? So you're really thinking of what's the motivation of the characters. Yeah, right?
The motivation also be to kind of like,
I can't hear you because we've got 4 or 5 people chatting.
to encourage them to kind of look for Balram.
Yeah, so it could be like this really subtle, even could be almost a warning to the family, the Balram's family. Yeah. Don't confuse an obituary with a eulogy, which is the speech given at a funeral. So don't make that mistake. The other thing you ought to be aware of, don't go, all right, I'm going to focus on option 1 and just practice that 15 times, and then the sack, I'll be right. These scenarios will not be there in the sack, but these forms of text will be. So you'll have option that's option 1 in the sack could be an obituary plus a letter. But we'll give you a different scenario. So it's a different person who's dead, or it's a different situation that you're required to reflect upon. Okay, we'll give you a newspaper article with the internal monologue maybe. So we're going to use all those forms, but different scenarios. So you have to know the book well enough to draw from all scenarios, and you know the characters well enough. The one character we can guarantee you will not be writing from his perspective is Balram, because we've got a whole book from his perspective. So it'll be someone else's perspective.
So the important thing to think about is, do I understand the structure of these pieces of writing? And do I understand the characters and the events and the text well enough to write about them, offering insight into these characters and sharing what Adiga's values are about India? What are his views? So you need to know the structure, the text, and the views and values. And you need to know them well if you want to do well on this sack. Okay? You should give all of these a go, and we want to see several different versions of them so that you can keep improving on them. So we're giving you class time to work on some of these, but others you'll have to do at home.
Yeah. Because some doubles we're going to say, right, we're breaking down an essay question today, because remember the other part of the outcome is the unscored outcome of writing the essay. So we do need to practice breaking down essays as well. So you will really have to commit to doing work at home to be ready for this outcome. Okay, there isn't unfortunately the time at all in class for us to do it all.
So homework.
Yes.
Yep.
This really new concept. We'll break down some questions in class, but you might have to write an essay at home.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Okay. What we're suggesting you do now is pick one of those options, but don't just start writing straight away. Do a bit of a plan. What's the structure? What's the point of view? What are they thinking? What are they saying? If you're thinking Pinky Madam, for example, what's her motivation? Then list all the events that she was involved in, and what's her point of view or perception of each of those events. List all the characters she had contact with. What's her point of view or perception of each of those characters? Did it change? Did it shift? Where did it change? Have all that ready, because that's what you need to refer to in this particular text. Yes?
Cool.
Everyone fine?
Yes.
Okay, are we good to start? Let's go. Why didn't you go at lunchtime?
Put this at the front of your mind, not at the back of your book. Subscribe. You know you want to.